you know, through work with John and just myself, I've had to let it go. You know, it's something that happened. I was drunk, blackout, and it's a horrible mistake. I regret it so much, and you know, I've talked about it with my mom. So it's been let go by both of us, but you know, it's still there. It still hurts.
You love her, don't you?
So much, yeah.
And do you have any contact with your dad?
I had no contact for about a year, and I contacted him through a letter about a month ago, but that's the only contact
What'd you
I've
say?
had. You know, I just told him about how my life was going, you know, my sober life, how great things were, and I kind of trying to reach out to him, you know, but the response was pretty poor, so.
You're sober now, and is it a choice? Was it a choice?
At the beginning, it was forced. But you
because
know,
that's part of John's rules to be in his program.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Ren was still in jail, though, and was still able to have access to drugs in jail, so...
Okay, so
What?
John, these are extreme cases that you take. Are there any cases that you just say, you know what, I just can't, I can't fix this, or I can't deal with this? Is there ever a case that you feel that way? No, why?
No, I never have. You know, I think I so much craved at my, you know, different stages of life. I so much craved being able to have somebody that I could connect with. Not somebody who was always telling me, be like me, do it exactly like how I want you to do it. I so much needed to have somebody that would put their arm around me and say, let's walk this mile together.
What is it do you believe in teenagers as a whole that you say, you know, anyone can turn it around, I mean, as dramatically as these guys have done?
Yeah, I think that really the key theme is that every teenage guy that's out there wants to have a relationship. Whether it's with a girl or whether it's with a male teacher at school or their parents, every guy wants to be connected. I think that we think in society that our guys need to be tough and not show emotion. And you know what? They want to. And so I think that when you give them permission to be able to be real and be themselves and have emotion and have the ability and the concept to connect, they flourish, they thrive. I mean,
But
it's
how
amazing.
do kids connect when they have a parent who's using crystal meth and basically is giving, it almost seems like permission, even though they didn't use it maybe together, giving him permission to use it at 13?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, you know, like with Ren, when Ren and I first started in therapy, I mean, the first time Ren came in, he was sitting next to his mom, he slouched, his head was just barely resting on the back of the couch. He was not interested in me, and he was not interested in being there. But after he came back the second, third, the fourth time, basically what I was doing with him is I was modeling to him, this is how you communicate, this is how you problem solve, this is how you connect in a relationship. And I would tell him, it is my expectation that you will participate. You can't just come and hang out and sit on the couch.
You know, my kids met him last night because I got a chance to chat with you guys, and my kids just love Ren and Tim. They connected with them immediately. I mean, they were playing with my kids, running around. I mean, you are a great kid, Ren. It's incredible the way you've changed your life, Ren. I mean, you were a criminal, a drug addict, and now you're back in school, right? Your grades are good. Do you have a driver's license?
No, due to my felonies, I can't get a driver's license right now. I have to be reinstated, go through a process, mailing things back and forth, signing papers.
We're going to have to go to commercial break, but really quickly, I wanted to ask you one thing. What would you tell parents out there, from your perspective, if they're trying to connect with their teenage son that may be at risk, they can't do it? What would you, as a teenager, tell them?
You know, I would tell parents to sit down, have a real conversation, you know, not just, like John was saying, the typical questions, you know, how's your girlfriend, whatever. Just have a heart-to-heart conversation, go out, play golf, play frisbee golf, you know, do an activity.
And ask you what? What questions would get through to you?
How am I doing? How's our relationship? What can we do together to make things better? Stuff like that.
We're going to talk more about how parents can do these things in just a second. Don't forget, though, if you have any questions for John Davis, Tim, or Ren, we want to hear from you right now. Email us at feedback@themorningblend.com, and we'll try to get to as many of them as we can later in the show.
Up next, John opens up his toolbox of parenting tips. He's going to share his 5 tips to help you connect better with kids, tips you must hear. He will also tell you the one thing that all parents need to know, so be sure to stay tuned. John Davis has a master's degree in psychology, and he has a reputation of going to extremes, and I mean extremes, to help kids who've been sucked into life's deepest and darkest places. He's also taking groups of at-risk kids all over the world. We're talking places like Africa, Mount Kilimanjaro, and Russia.
And earlier in the show, we mentioned that John brought along a toolbox filled with powerful tips. His toolbox isn't full of hammers and nails. It's more like a wealth of knowledge and experience to help fix what's ailing kids who are on the brink of tragedy. So we want to start by having John walk us through the 5 key tips for raising kids, especially teens. Number 1, shoulder-to-shoulder communication, not face-to-face. You always hear, look me in the eye when you're talking to me.
Right.
What's wrong
I
with
think
that?
initially in learning how to communicate for a 3, 4, 5-year-old, it's great to be able to establish, let's make eye contact because there's a deep connection with it. As kids grow up, though, it doesn't go from eye contact to eye contact, it moves to shoulder to shoulder. So we need to move as how the teenage population moves, which is you walk into a high school, you'll see hordes of kids walking down the hall. How are they communicating? Shoulder to shoulder. Even guys sitting in a restaurant together. Oftentimes you'll see 2 guys sitting together at McDonald's next to each other, not across from each other. It takes the threat out, it takes the intensity out, it doesn't feel like they're being disciplined.
It's not confrontational.
It's not, there's no power behind it. It's more, hey man, how's it going today? What's going on?
Like you say, go ice fishing with them, go to a game with them. You even say go to Home Depot.
Absolutely.
Get in the car with them, go somewhere. And I heard you on the radio, so even if you don't have to go to, Stein Garden and Gifts
Exactly.
or some building store, go with them just to get them out of the house.
My thing is make an excuse to be able to find a way to connect with your son. It engages your son in conversation. I mean, I'll put my son in the front seat of my pickup truck, even though he's not supposed to be in the front seat, and we'll drive somewhere real short and real close by. Why? Because we're shoulder to shoulder and I'm able to talk to him.
Okay, shoulder to shoulder is number 1. Number 2, pursue rather than hunt. And I think this is really difficult because when you don't have a kid who's talking to you, you want to get them to talk to you.
Right, and again, that's our issue as a parent. We're not getting the information that we want. We're not getting the information that we need for us to feel comfortable that, your son or daughter is in a great spot. So they come from school, they want a break. Give them a break. I mean, don't hunt them down to their bedroom because it's your agenda to find out how was the test, how's your girlfriend, what's going on at school, how's sports, because again, it's your agenda, not theirs. Their agenda is, I need a break. I need some time.
So give them space?
Absolutely, give them some space.
But you still pursue?
Then creatively find a way to be in their space. And again, that's where we talk about breaking the rules, which is the normal rules would be, hey, come on upstairs, let's talk. Well, why not incorporate yourself into their world? I mean, if your son is downstairs playing a video game, go sit down next to him, even though you don't want to play video games, and play a video game with them.
You say teens realize that teens are like crock pots? What does that mean?
Well, we all know what a crock pot is. I mean, it's something we throw some, meat and it stews for an entire day, and you really did no work to prepare your food for the day, and then you have an awesome meal after 12 hours. Teenagers are like that in the fact that they throw their friends, the pressure of school and sex and drugs and just, dealing with all the stuff they deal with every day. They throw it inside their crock pot, they leave it on a medium heat, and over time, since they don't problem solve and they don't communicate, it all is going to either crack, explode, spew out, and that's a problem. I mean, it's a problem because then they don't know how to take care of themselves.
You believe in a 90-second window to talk?
Absolutely.
90 seconds, that's not a lot of time.
And this is a key for my moms, so I hit my moms up on this one huge, that if they really want to connect with their son, it needs to be 90 seconds. So if you're confronting your son about an issue or your daughter, keep it brief, because if the longer you go, they wave bye-bye to connecting with you. They are done. And the reason why is they've heard the information. They know you're spinning it to sound far different than it is. But again, parents that go on and on and on, it's the same amount of information that makes us feel better that they're hearing the information.
So what do you put in that 90 seconds?
90 seconds, break it down into 3 categories. Number 1, this is the area where I'm really frustrated and I'm concerned. Number 2, I want to know how you're going to problem solve through that, which means that we have to sit and we have to wait and we have to wait to solicit their information. Number 3 is we give them permission to be able to respond to us in an appropriate way. And really, you can do that in 30 seconds or less. But physiologically, a teenage brain is not going to stay with you longer than 90 seconds.
You say break the rules. How and why?
Breaking the rules is, we walk into parenting